I can recall a few times where I've seen something or heard something and didn't like it at first. I thought it was pretty bad. But then as time went on and it progressed, it got a lot better in the future. One of them I want to talk to you guys about is probably one of my favorite rappers. Actually, he is one of my favorite rappers, Kendrick Lamar. I heard Kendrick Lamar way back before Section 80, and I really wasn't feeling him. He was rapping over a jazz beat, was a little too aggressive on the track, and on top of that, he was rapping fast. This is the time where Drake was at the pinnacle of his game, and rapping slow and just delivering bars after bars was the thing. So I was like, yeah, he a Cali boy, he from Compton, all right, I feel that, but to the side right now. Fast forward a few years later, Kendrick Lamar is easily one of the best rappers of this generation. People can argue that Kendrick Lamar is one of the best rappers of all time. And that's crazy because when you put in the hard work and dedication, you can definitely change someone's mind. Now, I'm saying this to you guys because to someone's eyes, you may be seen as not great right now. But if you truly believe that you can achieve, you will achieve. Just put in the work. These decks are not really different. They can be seen as bad by some players, but as the old saying goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure. These decks, I feel, with maybe a little bit of help or even right now, or some underlooked competitive decks. Today, we're going to be talking about them. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, they're going to destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. So without further ado, I present to you a ton of bad decks with a ton of potential. Now, I know I said I talk about a ton of strategies on this video. I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. That's almost not possible because I can't talk about every competitive strategy. I decided to let you guys help me help you. Post down below in the comments section what decks do you think are seriously bad but competitive, tons of potential. And when this video gets to 1,000 likes, I know you guys can do it. We'll definitely consider making another one, putting a spotlight on some of the other strategies. The first strategy I want to talk to you guys about is actually confusing. Mermail are really good. I mean, as good as a deck can probably get. You can summon a myriad of monsters to your side of the field, and then make some great negation boards with Totally Awesome, which allows you to negate your opponent's card and take it for your own, and Mermail Abyss Gaios, which can negate all of your opponent's monsters on their field with an attack lower than Gaios. Did I also forget to mention that Mermail Abyss Gaios prevents certain monsters from attacking? Yeah, that's kind of good in a Yu-Gi-Oh game where attacking is still pretty important. I think that Mermails do suffer from a little bit of a problem that other combo decks don't have a problem with. That's Guard Dragons. Every combo-based deck seems to be able to have access to Guard Dragons fairly easy, and while Mermail could have access to the exact same cards, not only do they struggle, they have consistency issues at best. That's like a good way to say it. The Mermail Link completely bombed on us, not providing much utility, and on top of that, the deck just doesn't have great rank 7 options. Now, Mermail could be mixed with Orcust to make some pretty crazy boards, but then you start thinking, why not just play Orcust just straight up? It is one of the best decks of the format. Mermail is in a very awkward spot, but I wouldn't want that to deter you from playing this OTK based deck if going second that has a Water Kaiju to just tribute off your opponent. I think some new extra deck cards can breathe life into Mermail, but until then, you have a deck that is really shiny, really blinged out, really expensive, a bad deck with tons of potential. So every locals has that one guy, or every good locals has that one guy. The super dramatic otaku person that likes to shout or pretend to do Yu-Gi-Oh things while actually playing the card game Yu-Gi-Oh. Back when a fun shop called Game World was active, we had this guy named Dragon Master. And yeah, he was the master of dragons. That's the only thing he played. He lost to this deck that was known as Gravekeepers, and I can still hear him screaming to this day. He throws his hands on the table, cards fly everywhere. Everybody's looking at him because their cards are flying everywhere too. And he's just destroying this table. And he's like, I hate Gravekeepers. And it was probably the most hilarious moment. I still give him trash for that to this day. But Gravekeepers are scary good, and I'm not saying this because I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, and I've been destroying the campaign mode with Gravekeepers. Nah, that would be a dumb reason. The campaign doesn't even count. It counts to me. But Gravekeepers are really good at disrupting the graveyard. NECROVALLEY is a really good card preventing opponents from basically touching it. But the good thing is that Gravekeepers have graveyard manipulation. Using cards like Gravekeeper's Headman to special summon monsters to your side of the field for free. It can even put Gravekeeper's Spy from your graveyard back to your side of the field. The game plan is to get resources through Headman and Spy, and then also use Gravekeeper's Descendant to tribute your Gravekeeper's monsters to keep your opponent's cards at bay. And when push comes to shove, you always have your Gravekeeper Fusion monster, which not only protects your NECROVALLEY, protects himself, it allows you to search a Gravekeeper or NECROVALLEY card from your deck to your hand every single turn. Now the problem with Gravekeepers is that it is a slow deck. Pretty slow, like slow. Some good ideas for future support would be getting a spell card that would allow you to spell summon a Gravekeeper monster from your deck to your side of the field in face up or face down defense position, or maybe even a trap card that can special summon a Gravekeeper monster from your graveyard or deck to your side of the field in defense position, as well as figuring out how can I use Throne of the NECROVALLEY and set Gravekeeper Spy in the same turn. Possibly even a Link monster that can flip monsters face down to face up if you control NECROVALLEY, and it'll be a quick effect. It can flip monsters from face up to face down to also be disruption on your opponent's side. Ultimately, even without those cards, Gravekeepers feel like a really solid back row heavy deck, abusing cards like Super Polymerization to fuse not only your cards because it doesn't need an extra deck, but you can also fuse your Gravekeeper monsters to make your strongest Gravekeeper monster, which again protects your NECROVALLEY and can search you cards. Throne of the NECROVALLEY is basically 6 Solemn Judgments. If you compare that with Solemn Strikes, well, guess what? You have 9 use. Seriously, don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! With 9 disruptions. So I was thinking about a possible video idea, like using Yu-Gi-Oh! Pickup lines to pick up women. And one of the pickup lines is like, damn, baby, you bad, but you good potential. You know what I mean? Because it has a double meaning. Like, she could be good, like good looking, as in bad, she bad, you know what I mean? And potential means she could be badder. Like, you think that'll work? Back, like, you know what I mean? Come on now, bro. Don't mess with me. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it could work. All right, so what if I came up to you and was like, damn, baby, you bad with good potential. What's up?
Ooh, what's your name?
But I'd rather just go play a good deck. So you're not really. You're kind of obsolete. Monarch is probably the pinnacle of a bad deck with tons of potential. Reason being is that for a given time, it was considered one of the best decks of the format. You still have Aether the Heavenly Monarch, which upon its tribute summon can special summon a Monarch from your deck to your side of the field. Now that Monarch can be returned to your hand, which is really good. You'll be able to tribute summon that Monarch. But it can also special summon monsters like Karaz the Light Monarch to destroy some of your cards and give you advantage by drawing cards, or destroy some of your opponent's cards and disrupt them. You also have your Dark Monarch, which allows you to shuffle the card on your opponent's hand, field, or graveyard, if I remember correctly, into your opponent's deck. All while you're sending Monarch cards from your deck to your graveyard, which gives you fuel for your first Monarch, which can be spell summoned to your side of the field for tribute fodder. The deck also has a very powerful card in Domain of the Monarchs, meaning as long as you don't control an extra deck, well, your opponent really doesn't either. The deck is unfair in terms of being able to summon massive Monarch monsters, forcing your opponent to play 2006 Yu-Gi-Oh! But as you guys can see, the OCG has everything at 3, and the deck is still subpar. I think that Monarchs would do completely different in the TCG, seeing that we are 2 totally different card games. I mean, they have Harpy's Feather Duster. We have Raigeki. It's just like completely different Yu-Gi-Ohs at this point in time. And Monarchs may make a splash. Currently, the only thing that stands between them and being a little more viable is the Forbidden list. Pantheism of the Monarch is at 1. Aether, I believe, is at 2. So if those were to come down from the list, Monarchs would be very powerful. I'm not saying Monarchs actually can't do damage right now. Zaborg the Mega Monarch probably might be your best bet, because when you tribute summon that card, you can send a ton of cards from the extra deck to the graveyard, which is essentially a win con. Ultimately, I remember I made a Monarch deck that can summon Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon from your deck to your side of the field just off of Zaborg, and disrupt your opponent's extra deck at the same time. Monarchs? too strong. It's almost synonymous. Fire Kings are a really powerful deck abusing monsters like Fire King Avatar Garunix, which comes back every standby phase and then blows all monsters on the side of the field. It's essentially a dark hole every single turn, and that works well in your Fire King favor because every time your Fire King monsters are destroyed, they all have some effect, whether it's searching cards or just bringing out more Fire King monsters to your side of the field. Now, the great thing about Fire Kings is that it's a pretty small engine. You can combine it with anti-meta-like cards or just a ton of back row to stymie your opponent's plays. The problem with Fire Kings is that it's a very, very small engine, probably a little too small for its own good. I think a Fire King monster that will allow you to destroy Fire Kings from your deck and treat them as if they were destroyed on the field would put this deck in the competitive scene immediately. Especially if the monster were a quick effect, it'll allow you to able to destroy monsters like Garunix on your opponent's draw phase or in your opponent's standby phase to summon Garunix to your side of the field, which is a free board wipe. Of course, having the restriction that you can only activate Fire King monsters effects on the field, or however you want to jazz it up to make sure it doesn't get abused in other strategies, would be needed. But ultimately, that's what Fire Kings would be missing. I wouldn't sleep on it right now though, because you do have cards like Fire Formation Tenki to search your Fire Kings. You can mix it with Fire Fist, gaining more advantage from Tensu, and on top of that, Code Soldier Woodbark is free plays, meaning that you can make the Utopia double combo in the deck fairly easy. Fire Kings are a very fun deck to play. Destruction, recursion, it's all a part of the process. The deck even has a little bit of negation. Fire Kings are on fire. Okay, that was bad, but you guys understand what I'm saying. The last strategy to talk about is another max rarity deck that looks so fresh and so clean when you have everything at the highest rarity, but unfortunately struggles in this current format. Lightsworn has fallen off the map ever since Fairy Tail Snow has been banned and Brilliant Fusion has been limited. The best way to fix it? Well, I mean, if Fairy Tail Snow ever gets unbanned and Brilliant Fusion ever comes to more than one, then the deck is back in action. It can still special summon a plethora of monsters to your side of the field, having access to Minerva, which not only gets you free cards, it's best in a Lightsworn deck, because, I mean, obviously you can destroy cards on the field when she's destroyed, and then still being able to summon your Earth monsters, like being able to summon Block Dragon for free, Gigantes, make monsters like NATURIA Beasts. The deck can still be a force to be reckoned with. But don't be afraid, ladies and gentlemen. When push comes to shove, Lightsworn has that panic button, and it's unlimited. Judgment Dragon at the cost of 1,000 life points can destroy all cards on the field. Now, in terms of best boss monster, Judgment Dragon may not be number 1 anymore, but it's still in the top 5 category. I mean, the fact that you can really pay 1,000 life points to Dark Hole and Heavy Storm the entire board means more often than not you can follow up with game situations. Lightsworn's biggest problem is his normal summon. It really needs it to pop off. And of course the inconsistency of milling, but that can be mitigated if you can get more normal summons. And that's the only problem for Lightsworn. Perhaps making a spell card that would mill cards from the top of your deck to gain an additional Lightsworn normal summon would be perfect for the deck. Not only would you be able to send cards from the deck to the graveyard, you get an additional Lightsworn monster on your side of the field, which can be really good for the strategy. I think that Lightsworns are a few cards away from the Forbidden List, or maybe a few support cards away from busting back into the competitive scene, because everything is still there. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of The Cali Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. And if you really did, consider joining our Patreon. We have so many awesome people there. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.